5 minutes.
Jesus! That's like head and shoulders above the rest. That's not head and shoulders above the rest. That's a whole body above the rest. You know what I mean? Like... What's up, Squad? It's your Squid. You already know what the video is about. Just a warning, my AC, not my AC, you guys don't call it AC in America, do you? The central heating. Central heating's on because I don't want my babies to freeze to death. It's like 35 degrees outside. So if you hear that, that's my bad. And yeah, it's not my bad though, because as I said, I don't want people to freeze to death. Let's get straight into it. This was a Patreon request. I'm pretty sure it was either Tim or the other new patron, right? So... I'm pretty sure, like, the name's fallen out of my head. It might have been Robert, it might have not been, but as I said, I'm not sure if it was Tim or the other new one. I've got to create a new Patreon graphic already and everything, all of that, but I'm not going to show you the graphic yet. I'll show you at the end of the video, but it was a new patron. It was a guaranteed reaction. It was a reaction request from like 2 days ago. The only reason I didn't do it 2 days ago was because my roof caved in, right, in a storm. So check out my Instagram if you want to know more about that, but it's been an eventful few days, right? So I'm doing it now before the end of the month, and then there'll be another one in a couple of days. If you want to join my Patreon, it's probably best you don't do it today, given it's the 31st of the month. It'll charge you today, and then it'll charge you again tomorrow. So if you want to join my Patreon, $5, guaranteed reactions, all that jazz, probably best if you do it tomorrow, not today. Unless you want to be double charged. I'll give you 2 reactions for it, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, this is Jim Clark. The best driver ever. He's let me go. Let's have a look at that. What was his 36 to 60? Fucking hell, that's not a lot of time. He must have passed away, obviously, because it. What a dumb. Looking at his fucking epitaph. He must have passed away. Fucking. Anyway, but he must have died in a crash or something. You'd think, like 32. He is 32 years old. He passed away. That's rough. This is going to be full on.
Died in an accident during a Formula 2 race in...
Oh, rough.
Because this shy, modest man, the son of a Scottish sheep farmer, was never one to trumpet his own skills. I started as an amateur with no idea or no intention of becoming world champion, but I was curious to find out what it was like to drive a car fast, to drive on a certain circuit, to drive a certain type of car.
Clark's just curious.
Talent was spotted by Lotus boss Colin Chapman.
Yeah, fuck. Back in the day, those that you literally just strapping yourself into a controlled explosion that controlled not so much. Like that was the.
What it was like to drive a car fast.
That was the operative word, but it was also a bit of a fib.
Clark's speed and talent was spotted by Lotus boss Colin Chapman. Clark soon set the motorsport world alight, in which, in 1963, he won his first F1 World Championship.
That's insane. Alright.
Oh my God! I am sitting where Jim Clark sat!
That's sick.
This is electrifying!
You can see the emotion in his face as well. He's like, oh my God, the adrenaline.
These were not powerful cars! Only made 210 brake horsepower for 1.5 litres, but they were still good for 180 miles an hour.
Wow.
Oh,
Who's this dude? Like, the balls on him to be able, like, the balls and the skill, you know? Not only just operating an old school Formula 1 car at like 180, you know what I mean? But also chatting to the fucking propped up camera about it as he's going, while going through that plethora of emotions of like, oh my God, I'm sitting where he sat, you know what I mean? Like, that's, I would like to know who that presenter is, because props to that presenter, that's fucking cool.
Thanks
that's
to
cool.
Monocoque chassis, the 25...
What do you say, monocoque chassis? What's that?
Thanks to its revolutionary monocoque chassis,
yeah, I don't know.
Was stiffer and lighter than any other F1 car, which meant it wasn't
more aerodynamic
fast on the straights, but quicker
could turn.
Corners too. And in the 1963 season, Clark used it to win a record 7 out of the 10 Grand Prix.
Whoa, 7 out of 10, yeah, he doesn't fuck around.
Nobody couldn't possibly catch him now.
All of those drivers are ballsy as fuck, though.
1963 was just a...
Like, here, I'm gonna just paint myself with fucking asbestos, get into that controlled / semi-controlled explosion and just fly off with no fucking safety in there either, you know what I mean? Like he rolls that car, he's breaking his neck, you know, like...
To get a true picture of Clark's genius, we must look at another year, 1965, when he hit heights no driver had reached before, or has done since.
Nice.
A modern Formula One driver does 21 races a year.
Oh, that's,
complains that's
what's his name?
In 1960...
Not Clarkson. Not May. Fuck, the funniest one. What's his name? Richard Hammond. Richard Hammond. I'm pretty sure that's him. Unless I am confused about the three of them.
A modern Formula One driver does 21 races a year and often complains that's too many. In 1965...
He pulls the goatee off well, doesn't he? Most people look like fuckwits when they have a goatee.
A driver does 21 races a year and often complains that's too many. In 1965,
like myself included,
Jim Clark raced in 63 races.
63?
Similar, but they are all completely different. In a car like this, he'd do Formula One Championship. He raced in the British Formula 2 Championship and the French Formula 2 Championship in this car. He raced in the Tasman Series, a sort of Australian Grand Prix for Down Under.
That's cool.
This car.
Never heard of that.
This Lotus Cortina, in which he decided to race in touring cars. And then if all that
seems cool
enough, he decided to go for the Indy 500.
Wow, alright. So this guy is basically, he's the first of the professional drivers, I take it, you know? Like, he's just going around the world as a sort of mercenary for hire. Put me in your vehicle, I'll win you some races, you know what I mean? Like, by the sounds of it anyway, back in the day, like, there were people, like, driver owners and all that, from my understanding, but this guy racing in so many different series, he's either fucking loaded or fucking talented or both, you know what I mean? So...
Series in Australasia.
Australasia. There's a word I haven't heard in a fucking while.
500.
Low key, it's just a word that means fucking Asia. Oh, and Australia, because that's white people. That's not Asians. And it's like, if you ever look on a map, right? In fact, I brought my handy dandy little fucking global atlas here for you, right? Like, here's Australia. Here's fucking Asia. We're right there. It's Asia. Like, we're in Asia. Like, but because we're Australians, we don't want to say Asia, apparently. But yeah, it's right there. It's like I know, I pause all the time and you'll either like it or you don't, right? It's not that big a deal. But I was speaking with someone once who was like, you know, not a lot of black people in Australia. And it's like, yeah, we didn't ship them in en masse, you know, so there's that. And they were like, lots of Asians, though. And it's like, yeah, no shit. Because we're right fucking next to Asia. We're the closest Western country to China and the Philippines and Vietnam and, you know, like... Anyway, get on with the video instead of a geography lesson.
First up was the Tasman Series in Australasia. Out of the 15 races, Clark won 11.
It's always a certain type of person that says it too, you know? Old white people. Australasia. Or the Oceanic region.
Clark won 11 and took the crown. Then it was
just say what you mean, cunts. Fuck.
The British and French Formula 2 Championships.
Anyway, sorry, paying more attention to Jim Clark now than Australasia.
First up was the Tasman Series in Australasia. Out of the 15 races, Clark won 11 and took the crown.
Nice. 11 out of 15, he doesn't fuck around.
For the British and French Formula 2 Championships, both of which he won.
Nice.
Left from the start. The winner is Jim Clark. And in between the F2 races, he was jumping into his Lotus Cortina and racking up touring car victories. And on top of all that, there was America.
In the Indies, yeah. Indy? Not Indies, that's a location.
Has been called the greatest spectacle in racing. America's most prestigious race would be a tough challenge.
Jesus!
Oval racing at higher average speeds than he was used to against seasoned Indy veterans. For the Indy 500, Clark raced a specially developed Lotus, producing just shy of 500 horsepower.
A specially developed Lotus?
Although he always
already had a Formula One world title to his name.
Like, he's a Formula One world champion. He's obviously got friends in high places and stuff. But if you're getting a specially made car to participate in this, like surely he's a big deal. Like, obviously he's a big deal. He's like, this video is the greatest of all time. We've got Richard Hammond standing next to all the cars, telling us about it. The cars have been preserved. Like, he's obviously a big deal. You know, like, he's the Don Bradman of the sport. You know what I mean? But if you don't know who Don Bradman is, I'll do a video about cricket eventually. Eventually, I'm going to try and explain cricket to Americans, so to everyone that likes cricket, yeah, wish me good luck, right? But yeah, like, he's obviously a big deal. But a custom-made Lotus for the Indianapolis 500 for the ex-Formula One champion, like, this would be a big deal, you know? Like, this would be as if Mercedes were trying to make an impact in the Indy 500, so they sent Lewis Hamilton or something like that with a custom-built car. Like, that, is that the equivalent, or am I, like, hyping it up too much? Let me know in the comments.
Scotsman's CV cut no ice with the sniffy Indy officials, who made the upstart from across the pond take a rookie driving test before he...
Wow, alright. So F1 champion, he's still like, and they're still like, fucking test, mate.
Start from across the pond, qualified on the front row.
Nice.
And then, in the race itself, Clark, up against America's finest oval races, won.
Fucking nice, good on him.
2 minutes.
2 minutes? What were the other guys doing? Fucking walking around the track. He beat them by 2 minutes. Were they even in the cars?
Since 1916, set a new record of 150.686 miles per hour.
So what
That's a drubbing.
made Clark so good? What was it that made him capable of winning in any type of car?
Jimmy was an absolute natural driver, and he did it without thinking. He didn't know why he was driving in this style the way he did.
It was just instinct.
In the period that we're talking about, we had 1.5 litre cars, 200 horsepower. If you drove the car too hard, you would scrub the speed off. And if you lose a bit of speed, it's very difficult to actually make it up again. And that's what Jimmy had the knack of, keeping the momentum of the car going. I don't think that any of the modern drivers could have driven the car anywhere near as quickly as Jimmy did.
Wow.
Because he was just so precise.
Oh, have a look at the slide, the drift there, you know?
Besides a supernatural ability to coax speed out of the car, Clark also possessed another vital skill.
That's not even a tar road, by the look of it.
Racing drivers died in Lotuses because the Lotus was a very fragile car. But Jim Clark was so smooth that he never put too much stress on the areas of a car that would give up.
Nice, so he knew the car well.
You stripped his car down, and you stripped his co-driver's car down. You could always tell which parts came off Jimmy's car and which parts came off the other driver's car.
That's funny.
Because the parts of Jimmy's car were more or less pristine.
Yeah. He knew how the vehicle operated, and he was nice to it.
Clark was one of those drivers that could only win in a perfect car. 1 year at Spa, for example, he was leading the race when his gearbox started to let go.
Oh, rough.
Did he give up? Nope. Instead, he drove the rest of the race, and we're talking 160 miles an hour in the wet, with one hand on the steering wheel and the other holding the gear lever in place.
Wow. Wow. All right, that's a thing. And he still fucking won the race. That is a huge thing.
5 minutes.
Did you just say by 5 minutes? I just got a message from a patron. Potentially the patron that asked for this video. But
In place. And he still won. By nearly 5 minutes.
Jesus! That's like head and shoulders above the rest. That's not head and shoulders above the rest. That's a whole body above the rest. You know what I mean? Like... That's crazy.
1965 season rolled on. Clark, having won both Formula 2 championships, the Tasman Series, and the Indy 500, now faced one remaining challenge. The biggest challenge, the Formula 1 world title. At the season's opening race in South Africa, up against such legends as Jack Brabham, Graham Hill, and reigning world champion John Surtees.
Whoa, more water. Water? Grass, you knew what I meant.
And did so while suffering from a slipped disc.
Oh, that's not fun.
Was Spa, and then the French Grand Prix, both of which he also won.
Fucking hell, he never loses.
Was Silverstone, and here it looked like business as usual, with Clark leading the pack. However, in the closing stages, his engine was starting to lose oil pressure.
While Clark is driving with no oil pressure on his gauge, Hill, coming up behind, breaks the lap record in his efforts to pass.
Eventually, the F1 circus arrived at the Nürburgring, a circuit where Clark had never won.
He's never won there, alright.
Clark finally broke his Nürburgring jinx, winning the race and with it, the Formula 1 world title.
Fucking A, good on you, lad. Have a look at the wreath thing around him.
So let's just
it's like a whole tree.
Clark's season of 1965. Of the 63 races he contested, he won a staggering 31 of them and was on the podium a further 8 times. He was now seen as the greatest racing driver of all time, in demand the world over. Yet this shy Scotsman chose to mark the year's achievements with a modest celebration at his hometown back in Scotland.
That's mad. That's heaps cool. Local boy made good, right?
Years, by contrast, were a disaster, with multiple mechanical failures denying him another championship.
Rough. Still, he made hay while the sun shone.
However, in 1968...
Oh, I don't like that. The tone in his however. We're about to learn about how he died.
However, in 1968, driving the Lotus 49, another game changer from Colin Chapman, Clark took the first win of the year in South Africa.
Okay, never mind, I thought we were, but we didn't.
Set for another dominant season.
Nice.
Congratulations, gentlemen, it's an absolutely splendid effort. Okay.
Splendid.
And then, on the weekend of April the 7th, Clark had a choice of 2 races he could compete in. One at Brands Hatch, the other a Formula 2 race at Hockenheim.
Oh no, here we go.
He entered the German race.
April the 7th is a bad
have a
day.
listen to the violin pulling on the
I
heartstrings.
wasn't happy. It was freezing cold and damp, misty. We could not get any heat into the tyres. Couldn't get any temperature in, no matter what we did. Jimmy said to me, "Phil, I do not expect anything from me today. Just keep me informed of the pit board, where I am, how many laps to go." That's the last thing he said.
On lap 5, Clark's car suddenly speared off the track at 170 miles an hour.
Fuck.
Jim Clark, he's a god. And the first time I saw him, I can't believe it. And you actually talking to him, it was awe-inspiring. Life is worth living. For me, it's tearful. I'm sorry.
You can see the emotion, you know?
According to the medical report, Clark died instantly of a broken neck, and the crash was later put down to a deflating tyre. When he died, he was just 32. But in his short career, he had racked up some truly incredible...
32, that's not fair.
In Formula 1, he won 25 of his 73 races, which in percentage terms puts him way ahead of Hamilton, Vettel and even Schumacher. In pole positions, he had 33, which again in percentage terms makes him second best of all time, just behind Fangio. Then there are the Grand Slams. That's where a driver gets pole position, fastest lap, the win, and leads every lap of the race.
Wow.
Schumacher has 5 Grand Slams to his name. Senna, 4. Jim Clark, 8.
Wow.
That's more than any other driver in history. You might imagine that a man with such skills would be rated highly by other drivers. And you'd be right.
I was invited to a cocktail
32,
party
man.
Fangio, and he said to me,
at least he died doing what he loved.
In my opinion, Jimmy Clark was the greatest racing driver ever. And coming from Fangio, is no better compliment than that.
In 1991,
who's Fangio? Should I do a video on them?
Made a special pilgrimage to the school to pay his respects.
That's cool.
Of Clark, Senna said simply, he was my boyhood hero. He was the best of the best. And like Senna, Clark died when he was driving at his absolute peak. That was it.
Most of what I was able to do was
have a look at this, like, and then hit, like, yeah.
by the manner in which Jim Clark drove. And I just followed him.
He was a gentleman. He was a gentleman and a gentleman.
A gentleman and a gentleman.
It'd be nice to have him.
Oh, that was a good video. That was a good video. Thanks for sharing. That was good. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that a lot. If you want to watch that video without me, without my reaction, without all my stuff and whatnot, the link's right at the bottom of the description. After all the stuff that makes me money, you know. Speaking of money, I like making money. These guys give me some of their money on a monthly basis, and they get guaranteed reactions, like requests and stuff. This was a request. I have 2 new patrons. They're on there, and it was a request from one of them. I can't remember which of them, so I'm not going to say a name. But yeah, I'll circle the name of who requested this one. That was really good. And you know, these ones where the drivers pass away, like, I always feel like I end the video on like a somber or depressing note, but it's obvious that his legacy has withstood that, and his legacy has been built, and like it was a good video. I enjoyed it. Thank you very much for suggesting it. And yeah, if you don't want to be a patron, but you want to make a suggestion, feel free to do so in the comments. I'll look through the comment sections for videos to react to a lot as well. But yeah, I'm going to try and film a couple more before the Bills game starts. I've got an hour. Not sure if I'm going to edit and upload today or if I'm going to edit and upload tomorrow, but you don't mind either way, do you? I'll see you guys when I look at you. You'll see me when you look at me. Thanks so much for watching.